Hello, and today is going to be slightly different for a practice. We're going to start, as we usually do, with some breath just to calm down the central nervous system and hook into the habitual anchor that we're trying to bring into commitment and consistency. One of the things I get asked about the most in what I do is lymphatics. And obviously all the movement that we do is working on the grosser system of the lymphatic system. But I'm going to today show you a little bit about the lymphatic or the glymphatic system within the face, a little bit of the neck and the collarbone. And it's something that you can do very easily at home with yourself. You can start with your hands, with your fingers. You will be able to use your gua sha. I get asked so many times the correct way to use a gua sha, the most effective way. In fact, there's many correct ways, but we're really going to look at the most effective way. We're going to look at the different oils or serums that you can use on your face with gua sha, and also the different gua shas that are out there and how you would use those. So we have a slightly different camera set up today that you'll be able to see a little bit easier what I'm doing around my face and neck. So that's the setup. Find somewhere comfortable to sit today. You can sit at a table actually, watching on your laptop or your phone, however you're using this, so that you're sort of sat comfortably and you can look at what I'm doing easily. You don't need to be far away from the screen. So wherever you are, just allow yourself to feel comfortable within your body. Have a sense of arrival, almost an opening or a beginning with intention to what you are about to do next. Closing off your eyes, and as ever, keeping the mouth closed, starting to breathe through the nose. Reminding yourself of the purpose of the practice, that you're beginning to understand the internal environment of your being and how that is affected by your breath. That as you start to ground in through your body, enter into your body and move away from the exterior experience, you may start to feel a sense of calm or grounding, maybe a sense of peace or freedom. Focusing on the breath coming down into the belly rather than the chest. And this is really important for what we're about to do next, is the area just below your rib cage where the diaphragm sits. As you inhale, that area is going to come down. Really relax your belly. Place your hand on your belly if it helps. And as you exhale, really start to draw your belly in towards your spine. Relax your shoulders. Try and keep the breath moving down the body rather than up in the chest. Inhale, relax the belly, let the belly move out. And exhale, let the belly come in. So we want you to really start to feel the stimulation of the movement of the diaphragm below the rib cage. This is signaling to the vagus nerve that you're coming into rest and digest. And when we work with lymphatics and glymphatics, we really want you to be in rest and digest to get the best outcome. And again, breathing through the nose, keeping the mouth closed is another signal to your system that you're moving into rest and digest. And then gradually starting to extend the exhale. These 3 pointers, allowing the central nervous system to fully understand what's at play here. The focus of your mind is internally in your body. Nothing to be disturbed by outside, just staying in the space where you are. Just let your mind calm down and be present. maybe it's beginning to feel a little bit familiar, a little bit of a relief that you can come into this space and disconnect from everything going on beyond you and just connect a little bit within you. Okay, so now gently opening the eyes, and we'll come into the instruction, because it's not really a practice, it's an instruction today. You have choices. The first choice, if you don't have a gua sha, is you can take your index finger and your middle finger, and you're going to look for the area. If you turn your head, follow this side of the neck down, and you're going to follow the collarbone along and just find that little area where it meets. Go to the other side, find the same place. Now with the index finger and the middle finger, you can just pulsate in that space, or you can cross the hands and pulsate with the opposite hands to the opposite side, whichever feels most comfortable and natural within your body. Just gentle little pulsations in there. If you do have a gua sha, then you can start to scrape. You're going to come into that little divot with this long part, and you've got a little bend here. Your collarbone is going to slot nicely in there, so the little divot at the top there, and then you can scrape along the collarbone. Now what's really important is, if you're using the gua sha, you're going to have to go from one side to the other. You must always start on the left. So I'm mirroring you. You're going to be starting on the side. You can see me start, although it's my right, it's your left. You must start on the left. And you're just going to pull the gua sha along the collarbone with that large bit at the top, the small bit at the bottom. You can hold the skin a little bit if that helps. It might have a little less elasticity to it there, and that might be because it's dry skin. And so just working the lymphatics there is going to help it. It could be puffy. Lymphatics can go in many different ways. They can present as, a blocked lymph can present as tight, tender, red, puffy, all these things that just have a little sensation to them. You'll start to become intuitive and instinctive within your body. Now, as you scrape, you may feel like some kind of gnarly, gritty bits. That's good. Go gently with it. Stay connected to your breath as you scrape. And if you're pulsating, just gently carry on with your pulsating. You can also move to use your two fingers in a hook, and you can just hook along the collarbone, or you can just use your fingers, either hand, just to scrape. And it's important to really focus above the collarbone, top of the collarbone there. If it's not very glidey and it doesn't slide very well, you can use a very simple jojoba oil. That's spelt jojoba oil. And you can just gently put that onto your fingers and rub it onto your skin, so that the gua sha has a slightly better slide. Now you can see where I've been working, my skin is becoming red because I'm working with the salt skin associated lymph tissue. And when your skin goes red, you're just starting to stimulate all the little lymph that is ingrained in the skin. So that's just bringing out a little stimulation. You don't want it to be angry. A little bit of pinkness is okay, and then that's enough. And then you can go to the other side. If you want to take this a step further, you can use a castor oil. Castor oil has one of the most inflammatory properties that we know. So using castor oil on your body in any areas that are blocked or inflamed is really healing. It's a great thing to do. So there, we're just scraping along that collarbone. We've now gone to the right hand side. Again, you can use your two fingers to scrape, or you can just stay pulsating. Both is really effective because you're opening up the channels of lymphatic through the body there. Okay, so the next place you're going to go is to the left hand side, just below the ear, and you're going to scrape down the neck. Again, so you can use this end of your gua sha and just place it under the neck, and you'll feel that it fits quite nicely in there. So just nice and gently scraping down. If you don't have your gua sha, then you can use your opposite hand and just scrape down. And again, you can use your castor oil, just put a little bit onto your tips of your fingers and gently use that to scrape down. Top tip, if you are using oil, then try not to wear too many clothes at the top. The oil can spread itself and then you don't want to get too many stains. And then just go to the other side. Now, if this is beginning to feel a little bit too much, and again, you can go to the other side with your gua sha. And it's not too important whether the long end or the short end goes to the back or the front. It's whatever seems to slot most comfortably into your neck. If that is too much, if it's feeling too stimulating, take your index finger and your middle finger and again, just pulsate just below your earlobe in line with your jaw. That little area just behind your ear, that's a really strong junction of nerves, lymphatics, blood vessels. Vagus nerve comes down through there, which is why we stimulated the vagus nerve at the beginning of the practice with the breath. And notice anywhere, again, that feels kind of tight or tender. Just give it a little bit more love. You don't have to go very strongly with this because we're going to go to lots of different areas. So if you go very strong, it's going to be too stimulating. You may experience a detox. A detox will be a headache. You could be blowing your nose. You could get blocked ears. A detox cannot always be a nice thing. You kind of have to go through it. Okay, let's move to the next position. With your gua sha, again, you're going to start on the left. You're going to come to the center of your chin and just start to move along the jawline. When you get to the top by the ear, just give it a little wiggle before you take it off. Again, the top, the big bit is to the top, the small bit is to the bottom, and you'll find that sweet spot of where the gua sha nicely fits into the jawline. If you don't have a gua sha, don't panic. Again, you can take your fingers, make that little hook, and just scrape along at the jawline, just wiggling at the top. And if you're not using your gua sha, then you can use both fingers. At the same time, you may even have two gua shas and you can use two gua shas. Isn't that luxury? There's lots of other gua sha shapes on the market that can be used. So this one, for example, you can use down through the side of the neck. It's got a much wider dimension. You can use this through the jawline. It's a little bit softer, it's not as harsh. Goes a little bit into the cheekbone as well. It's a lovely shape here. It can go into the collarbone and scrape across the top as we did. So you can be really experimental and it's great to have lots of different shapes. We'll come to those later. So the next place we're going to go is under the cheekbone. We're starting on the left, so if you don't have your gua sha, you can use your knuckle. Just hook into the side of your nostril and go under the cheekbone up to the ear. Give it a little wiggle at the top. Under the cheekbone, contour it up to the ear. If it's a gua sha, again, you're going to feel that natural behavior of the curve going into the cheekbone and just give it a wiggle at the top, scraping round the cheekbone. So you can go into the side of the nose and then scrape up to the ear with a little wiggle. You may have two gua shas, you can do both at the same time. If you are using one, start on the left, always starting on the left. And again, you can use jojoba oil here. I wouldn't use castor oil on your face at this stage. You can find lots of lovely serums on the market. I tend to use, I'm into some South Korean stuff at the moment. So I order this online or wherever you get your favorite skincare. And you can just put that onto the skin and then use the gua sha to slide. Always remembering that little wiggle at the end, just to make sure you don't create a reservoir of fluid as you scrape. Okay, Moving on to the next one, we're going to go just outside the nostrils and we're going to follow the smile line down. Okay, so we're going to follow the smile line down over the chin to the bottom, and again a little wiggle here. So you can do that with your fingers. It may feel you're not doing a lot, you're just kind of touching your face, and do you know what? That is a lot, because you probably don't spend a lot of time intentionally touching your face. If you're doing it with the gua sha, again, you're going to take that big divot and just follow the line down. If you have the gua sha, you can follow it along the jaw as well. You can then follow it down the neck and into the collarbone. So there's a whole journey you can take there with the gua sha. I'm just going to even mine up on the other side. Again, always remembering to start on the left and have a little wiggle at the end. Okay? It's very nice sharing this with you, actually. I try and do this every day, mostly in the evenings, just before I go to bed, simply because that's when I have time. You can do it at any time throughout the day, to be honest. Right, the next place we're going to go is to the temples, to the side. So just above here, above the eyebrow towards the hairline, you've got your temples. All right, they'll feel like there's a little bit of a space here. I want you to go on the outside of the space and start to rub around the temples, not in the middle, around them. So this is an interesting gua sha that is used for there. And as you can see, you've got that shape, the round shape with a space in the middle. So the middle of the temple effectively would be in the middle of that shape, and your kind of spider legs go around the temple on the outside. Again, we are starting on the left and just giving a lot of nice experience there. Okay. Again, if it feels a little bit sticky, you can use that facial serum, just give little rubs around. And if it's this gua sha you're using, then again, you just use the long edge as if it was your finger, and you just do little circles around the outside of the temple, and you can go in both directions. Your lymphatic system likes as many experiences as you can give it. So once you get used to using a gua sha, you can then use all of these different gua shas for experience. You can use a toothbrush, you can use a metal spoon, anything that gives your face a different stimulation and experience. Okay, so the final place we have to come is up to the forehead. You can take your gua sha, and again, starting on the right, come into the center and gently move the gua sha over to the outside, giving it that little wiggle as it goes. If you're using your fingers, if you're using your hand, again, you can just use the index fingers and gently move over to either side, not too intensely. You may feel that pressure builds up here in the middle of your face with these muscles. So this is a really nice way to release those muscles. Just gently moving it over. And again, if you want to use your face serum here to give it a little bit of a better slide, then go ahead and do that. The very last one that is really useful is to come to the lower nape of the neck, the bottom of the hairline, just at the top of the neck, and just give some little massages around there. This is another, the spider one is nice to kind of move around there as well. That's all part of the lymphatic system within the face, the back of the head here. Just finish that off. And there you have it. That's a really nice little simple routine to do with your gua sha around the face, incorporating it with some conscious breath, really understanding how everything is feeling. It helps release a lot of the puffiness in your face if you're prone to puffy eyes or headaches, especially around the temples. I find that's the most stimulating place for me when I do this, and helps me feel a lot clearer. Sometimes it helps me sleep better, sometimes it helps me focus and concentrate a little bit better as well. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a blissful rest of your day. Stay well. Bye.